She stared him down like he didn't belong there. And to be fair, in that moment, most of the room agreed with her. A black boy in a burgundy hoodie, standing in a sea of stiff suits and sharpened egos. No degree, no titles, just confidence, and a mind sharper than any of theirs. So when the most feared professor on campus tried to humiliate him in front of the entire faculty, she had no idea that the boy she tried to dismiss would become the storm that shook the room. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. We love seeing how far these stories reach. If you believe in justice, potential, and silent strength, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us for more real, powerful stories like this one. Jamal stood in front of the blackboard like a shadow against chalk. His burgundy hoodie clung to his frame, casual and creased from the long train ride. He hadn't come to impress with clothes. He came with something more dangerous, underestimated brilliance. Across from him stood Dr. Eleanor Whitmore, Cambridge's prize professor, gray-haired, stone-faced, dressed in a black blazer, so sharp it looked like it could slice through steel. She stood with her arms crossed, chin lifted, like a gatekeeper daring him to step through a door he didn't have the keys for. Behind her, for other professors watched in tense silence. Their suits varied in shade, but their expressions didn't, stiff, skeptical, waiting for him to fold. The board behind Jamal was covered in equations. Real ones, ugly ones, the kind that made PhDs sweat. Dr. Whitmore had written them herself, then turned to the class and said, "Anyone?" Silence. She scanned the room. Students looked away. Nobody moved, until her eyes locked on Jamal. "You," she said, voice low but razor-sharp. "Care to try?" Jamal hesitated, not out of fear, out of exhaustion. He'd seen this game before. The setup, the performance, the polite ridicule dressed up as opportunity. He could still hear what she said when he walked in earlier. "This class is reserved for honors candidates. You must be lost." He wasn't. He had the dean's invitation in his back pocket, a recognition letter from the UK Youth Mathematics League. He'd earned a seat here, but she hadn't looked at the letter twice. She looked at him and made her decision. Jamal stepped forward anyway. The marker was cold in his hand. The room? Colder. He cleared a small patch on the board and started to write. 1 line, 2, then 3. The silence deepened, not out of pity this time, but confusion. Then awe. His handwriting was calm, methodical. His logic unfolded like silk, turning chaos into clarity. Not only did he solve the boundary expansion Dr. Whitmore had posed, he rerouted the method, shaved off unnecessary steps, and proved a tighter solution. He stepped back. "I believe that's the reduced form," he said softly. No applause. Not yet. Dr. Whitmore stared at the board, then back at him. Behind her, the older professor with the gray beard leaned forward, whispering to another. The man in the beige jacket with the striped tie squinted, then nodded slightly. Still, Dr. Whitmore didn't blink. "Who taught you that?" she asked, like he'd stolen the knowledge. "My mum," Jamal replied. "When she wasn't working night shifts, she drilled equations with me." More silence. Then the man in the tan suit stepped forward. "Son," he said, "what's your name?" "Jamal Okoye." He extended a hand. "I'm Dr. Lafferty, Director of Advanced Mathematical Research here at Cambridge. We'd like to talk to you about your future." Jamal paused. He looked around the room. The suits, the silence. The same professor who tried to humiliate him now scanning his work like it was sacred text. He smiled, just a little. "I'll need to check with my mom," he said. "She's waiting outside." For a long second, nobody spoke. Jamal's words hung in the air like a challenge. Not a plea, not bravado, just truth. Simple, unapologetic. The kind of truth that doesn't blink under pressure. The woman in the black suit, Dr. Whitmore, still hadn't moved. Her arms stayed crossed, jaw tight, but her eyes, those eyes that moments ago had dismissed him like an empty seat, now darted between his handwriting and the other professors behind her. She wasn't in control anymore, and she knew it. "You solved that problem using non-standard notation," she said finally, coldly. Jamal nodded. I find it more intuitive. The man in the tan suit, Dr. Lafferty, smiled, impressed. It's not just intuitive. It's clean. That reduction you did with the third variable, that's the sort of thing my department's been wrestling with for months. The professor with the gray beard, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. What program are you enrolled in, Jamal? None yet. I just finished sixth form. I was invited here to observe. To observe, he repeated, eyes narrowing. And yet you walked into a graduate-level seminar, took a marker, and dismantled a live theorem like you were brushing your teeth. Jamal gave a tiny, crooked smile. Math's the one place I feel like I don't have to apologize for being right. A hush fell again. Even the students in the back, who'd been texting minutes earlier, were now sitting up, watching, listening. Dr. Whitmore cleared her throat, as if trying to reclaim the authority slipping through her fingers. This is highly irregular, she said. He's not even registered with the university. Dr. Lafferty turned toward her. And whose fault is that? The temperature in the room shifted. Jamal felt it, felt the tide starting to turn. He took a breath, ready to step down, when a voice came from the back of the room. Yo! It was a student, brown-haired, in a white shirt. Can I take a photo of the board before it gets erased? That's the clearest I've seen that problem explained. That was it. The dam burst. More students spoke up, one saying they'd struggled with that exact boundary for weeks. Another asking Jamal if he had a channel or a blog. A third stood up and offered Jamal his own seat, saying, You deserve to be here more than half the people in this room. Dr. Whitmore backed away. She wasn't used to this, wasn't used to being the one whose authority got overwritten. She turned toward Dr. Lafferty. We have a process. Admissions protocols. And they failed him, Lafferty replied without blinking, which is why I'm bypassing them. He turned to Jamal. There's a scholarship that opens this fall. But given what I've just seen, I'm offering you a direct placement, full funding, research mentorship, lab access. Jamal blinked, but I haven't even submitted A-levels yet. We'll handle that. Consider this a formal offer. If you want it, it felt surreal. This was the same room that had tried to push him to back just an hour ago. Now they were clearing space for him at the front. But his heart was thumping for another reason. He glanced toward the door. My mum, he repeated. She's downstairs waiting in the car. She'll want to know everything. Bring her up, Lafferty said. She deserves to hear this too. 5 minutes later, Jamal stepped into the parking lot. His mum, Ms. Okoye, was sitting in their dented silver Corolla, typing something furiously on her old Samsung. When she saw his face, she rolled the window down. What is it? She asked quickly. You all right? He grinned. Mum, you might want to come inside. She walked into that room like she'd been walking into classrooms her whole life. Head high, wrapper tied tight, eyes scanning everyone from Dr. Whitmore to the chalkboard without flinching. Dr. Lafferty extended a hand. Mrs. Okoye, your son just redefined a theorem some of our postgraduates couldn't crack. He's got a place here if he wants it. She looked at Jamal, then at the board, then at the professors. My boy's been solving equations since he was 8, she said calmly. He reads math books like Bible. But people always see his skin before his mind. Dr. Whitmore shifted uncomfortably. Mrs. Okoye noticed. And people like you, she said gently but directly to Professor, don't scare us anymore. Not when we know who we are. Jamal held his breath, but Dr. Whitmore said nothing. She simply turned away, walked to her seat, and sat down. Dr. Lafferty chuckled. Would either of you like a tour of the department? Jamal looked around. The same room that tried to humiliate him now watched him like he was a storm that had passed, but left everything changed. He nodded. I like that. There's something powerful about quiet strength, about showing up where you're not expected, then showing why you belong. Jamal didn't argue. He didn't beg. He just solved the damn problem. So next time someone underestimates you, remember, you don't have to fight to be seen. Sometimes you just have to be undeniable. If this story moved you, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. We got more real, human stories coming your way. and tell us in the comments. Have you ever been underestimated? What did you do? We're reading every single one.